Imagine this. You're at a dinner party, maybe, or just having coffee with a new friend, someone who speaks English. The conversation's flowing, you're feeling pretty good about it, and then they ask you this question. It seems totally harmless. They just look at you and say, so what's your dream house like?
That's the classic icebreaker.
Yeah.
Seems so simple on the surface, doesn't it? Just a fun little question.
Right. Simple. But I think for a language learner, that moment can be pure panic.
Oh, absolutely.
Your mind just goes blank, you freeze up, you start worrying about grammar, you're thinking, oh God, what's the word for that roof tile I like? Or do you actually get to enjoy the imagination of it?
And that really is the heart of the issue. When we talk about dreaming in a second language,
Yeah.
we often hit this invisible wall. It's not because we don't have the dream.
No, the dream is crystal clear in your head.
Exactly. It's that explaining those abstract ideas, well, it requires a specific set of tools that you might not have yet.
I know that feeling so well. I mean, I love to daydream. I'm probably mentally redecorating this room right now, but if I had to explain my perfect imaginary sanctuary in a language I was just learning, I'd probably just end up saying it is big house, good house.
Right.
And that's just a little tragic, isn't it? To have this vivid, beautiful dream and then such a flat description.
It is, because this isn't really just about architecture. It's not about walls and windows. Describing your dream house is really about your identity.
Your lifestyle.
Your lifestyle, yeah. It's about articulating what brings you peace or joy or excitement.
Yeah.
And if you can't express that, you feel like a simplified version of yourself.
So that is our mission today. We are doing a deep dive into an episode of Daily English Talk with the hosts Emma and Leo. And I have to say, I love the dynamic they have because it mirrors what happens in real life so perfectly.
It's such a useful setup for learners. You've got Emma, who plays the role of the curious, relatable learner.
Yeah, she asks the questions we're all thinking.
And she makes those intentional mistakes that are so helpful to break down.
Yeah.
And then you have Leo.
Leo's the anchor. He's the calm guide, offering those gentle corrections that don't make you feel stupid for getting it wrong.
Precisely. And the source material today is really laser focused on moving you, the listener, from that place of I don't know the words to confidently describing your perfect sanctuary in natural English.
And we are not just memorizing lists of furniture here.
No, definitely not.
We're going to unpack the actual structure of description. We're talking location, type, features, and that all-important feeling. And the best part is we're going to prove you don't need complex grammar to sound sophisticated.
That is the key takeaway. I really want everyone to hold on to that. Complexity does not equal fluency. You know, often the most evocative descriptions are actually the simplest ones.
As long as they're structured correctly.
As long as they are structured correctly.
So let's dive right into that. The art of simplicity. One of the first things that comes up in the source material is this huge anxiety that learners feel. This idea that to describe a dream, you need like dream-level vocabulary.
Yeah, these big $10 words.
You feel like you have to sound like a poet or an architect just to get the idea across.
And Leo, in the source material, he addresses this right away. His advice is to start small. So many people try to build an entire paragraph in their head before they even open their mouth.
Oh, I've been there. You're trying to translate this huge, elaborate thought from your native language, right?
Exactly. You're thinking, I envision a sprawling Victorian estate nestled in the rolling hills, and by the time you try to actually say that in English, you just stumble.
You trip over your own ambition.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Oh.
So Leo suggests this foundational sentence structure that's almost, well, it's almost mathematically simple. My dream house is size, type, location.
It's like a formula. Just fill in the blanks. My dream house is blank blank.
Subject, verb, description, that's it. It just cuts through all the noise in your head. And Emma tries this in the episode. She sort of resets her brain and just says, my dream house is a small house near the beach.
And it works. When you hear that, it just works. It's a complete thought. It paints a picture.
It does. It immediately grounds the listener. We know the scale. It's small, and we know the setting. It's near the beach. You don't need to say, I envision a diminutive cottage situated in close proximity to the coast.
Right. That's way too much. Small house near the beach is confident because it's so clear.
It's that aha moment, isn't it? You realize you don't need a whole paragraph. You just need one clear sentence to get the ball rolling.
But speaking of near the beach, this brings us to a really interesting little debate that came up in the source. The whole by versus in versus near situation.
Prepositions. The nightmare of every English learner.
They really are. They're tiny little words. They seem so insignificant, but they can change the entire meaning of the sentence.
They really can. So Emma says, near the ocean. And Leo, being that good guide, he says, that's correct. It's not wrong. But then he offers an upgrade, a little tweak.
He suggests moving from near to by. By the ocean or by the beach?
So why is by better here? I mean, near is accurate, isn't it? If my house is near the beach, I'm close to it.
It is accurate, but near is more of a measurement of distance. If I say the gas station is near the highway, I'm giving you directions. It feels very functional.
I see.
But by implies more of a relationship. Native speakers, we tend to gravitate toward by when we're talking about being close to water. We say a house by the lake or a cabin by the river. It just sounds more, I don't know, intimate.
It's like the difference between a GPS instruction and real estate marketing copy.
That's a great way to put it, yes. Near is the GPS. By is the lifestyle.
By the beach makes you feel like you can hear the waves, you can smell the salt in the air. It sets a scene. It doesn't just plot a coordinate on a map.
Right. But there is a trap here that Leo points out, and it's a super common error. And honestly, it's one of my favorites because the mental image is just hilarious.
Oh, I know exactly what you're referring to.
The in the beach mistake.
The in the beach mistake, yes. A lot of learners will say, my dream house is in the beach.
Which, if you think about it, literally is kind of terrifying.
It is. If your house is in the beach, you aren't looking at the ocean. You're underground. You're buried in the sand.
Right. In means you're contained within it. You're inside the actual volume of the sand.
I'm just picturing like a little chimney sticking out of a sandcastle.
Yeah.
Welcome to my home. Just grab a shovel.
Exactly. And that's why visualizing these things is so helpful for prepositions. You can be on the beach, standing on the sand, or by the beach next to it.
But you cannot be in the beach.
Unless you're a clam. So, rule number 1 for our listeners, unless you are a mollusk, you want your house by the beach.
Correct. And this applies to other places too. You wouldn't say your house is in the ocean, right? Unless it's a submarine or a shipwreck.
Right. It's by the ocean. These little tweaks, just changing near to by and making sure to avoid in, they instantly elevate how you sound. It tells the listener you get the nuance of the language.
So we've nailed down the location. We're by the beach or maybe somewhere else. Let's look at Leo's example from the source. He goes in a totally different direction.
Yeah, he says his dream house is a quiet place in the countryside.
This is a great pivot because it brings in new vocabulary. Countryside.
Countryside is one of those words that does a lot of heavy lifting, I think.
It really does. When you say countryside, you're not just saying not in the city. You're implying farms and villages and nature, open space. It sets a completely different mood.
It has an emotional weight to it, a feeling of peace and slowness.
Leo also adds that it's a wooden house.
Oh.
Again, a very simple adjective, but it adds texture. I can see the wood. I can almost smell it. But then he says something that I think is the secret weapon of this entire lesson.
Well, I think I know what you're going to say.
He says the house is surrounded by trees.
Surrounded by, yes. This is a power phrase. If you are listening and taking notes right now, put a big star next to this one.
So why is this one so important? I mean, why is surrounded by so much better than just saying there are trees near the house?
Because up until this point, we've basically been placing the house on a flat map. It's near the beach, it's in the countryside, that's two-dimensional.
Right, it's flat.
When you say surrounded by, you suddenly make the image three-dimensional. You are placing the listener right in the middle of that environment.
It's immersive. Surrounded by trees feels like a hug from a forest. It's a totally different feeling from there are trees nearby.
Exactly. And Leo points out how incredibly versatile this phrase is. You can have a house surrounded by mountains.
Or a hotel surrounded by gardens. A cabin surrounded by snow.
It instantly tells you that the thing is all around you. It's encompassing.
And think about the feeling it creates. In Leo's example, being surrounded by trees implies privacy, quiet, a connection to nature. He doesn't have to say, I want privacy and I like nature.
No, he just says it's surrounded by trees, and we get it. We understand the feeling immediately.
That's the old show don't tell rule of storytelling, but just applied to basic English. It's so effective.
I love that. Okay, so we've got the outside handled. We're by the beach or surrounded by trees. Now we have to open the front door and go inside.
The interior.
How do we talk about the rooms without it sounding like we're just reading off a shopping list? Bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. It's so boring.
Yeah, it sounds like an inventory audit.
Exactly.
Well, the basic pattern Leo suggests is it has number room. So it has 3 bedrooms. But Emma adds this really crucial layer on top of that.
Right. She connects the room to a function or a passion.
She says, it has a big kitchen because I like cooking.
That because clause is magic. It transforms a statistic, a big kitchen, into a story. I like cooking. It tells us why that room is important to her.
It makes the house a home, doesn't it?
Right.
It's not just about floor plans anymore. It connects the architecture to the human being who's going to live there.
But speaking of it has, we have to stop right here. Because there is a grammar dragon that we absolutely need to slay.
The have-has hurdle.
Mhm.
This is probably one of the most persistent errors for English learners.
I hear it constantly. It have 3 rooms. The house have a big window.
And you can understand the logic. It's I have, you have, we have, they have. The pattern is overwhelmingly have. So your brain just goes on autopilot and wants to apply have to everything.
But English has to be difficult, and it demands that third-person singular shift. It must be. It has.
Leo was very gentle, but also very firm on this in the source material.
Yeah.
It has, it has, it has.
You almost have to drill it like a mantra, don't you?
You do. If you're starting a sentence with it and you're describing possession, your mouth should just automatically form the word has. It has a garden. It has a red roof.
To everyone listening, if you take one grammar point away from this deep dive, please let it be this. It has. Just tattoo it on your brain.
Yeah.
It has.
It's the quickest way to fix a sentence that just sounds a little bit broken. If you say it have, the listener's brain stops for a millisecond to process the error. It creates friction.
But if you say it has, they just keep flowing with you. They keep visualizing your beautiful dream house.
Okay, grammar is down. Now let's fill this house with the good stuff, the luxury features. Because this is a dream house. We are not talking about leaky faucets and high electric bills.
No, we're talking about the fun stuff.
And Leo and Emma bring up some great vocabulary here. They mention a balcony.
A balcony is key. A small outdoor space connected to the house. It just implies leisure, right? Standing out there with a coffee, looking out at the world.
And a swimming pool. That's the classic dream feature. But the phrase that really stood out to me was sea view.
Sea view. It sounds expensive just saying it.
It does. Leo defines view very simply, what you can see from a place. But think about all the variations. A city view.
A mountain view. Garden view.
It's another one of those phrases that does so much work. If you say an apartment with a city view, you instantly picture lights, skyscrapers, energy.
Yeah, and if you say a house with a garden view, you picture like morning tea and birds singing.
Exactly. It frames the entire experience. And then there's the adjective Emma uses, or I should say the one Leo teaches her, which is spacious.
Oh, I love the word spacious. It just feels so much better than big.
Big is just a measurement. Spacious is a feeling. A warehouse is big. A ballroom is spacious.
That's a great distinction. Spacious implies that you can breathe. It's not crowded. It's just a more sophisticated word, but it's still really easy to use. My living room is spacious.
It sounds like you're a real estate agent trying to sell $1 million listing.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's quite spacious.
And that's the confidence we want. Using spacious instead of just big is a tiny change that makes you sound much more fluent. It shows you're not just translating size, you're describing the quality of the space.
So we've built these incredible mansions in our heads. We've got our swimming pools, our sea views, our spacious living rooms.
But then the source material throws us a curveball. Leo tells this story about one of his students, a woman named Maria.
Yes, the Maria story. And this is where we pivot from architecture to lifestyle.
Because when I hear dream house, I immediately assume it's a mansion. 10 bedrooms, a huge yard. But Maria's dream was different.
Maria's dream house was a small apartment in the city.
Which, for some people, that sounds like a nightmare. They want space, they want a garden. But for Maria, that was the dream. Why?
Because of her lifestyle. She wanted to be close to her job and close to her friends.
This is such a crucial point that Leo makes. A dream house is not a generic template. It has to fit the person.
Precisely. And this actually creates a wonderful opportunity for the learner. You don't have to learn all the vocabulary for a villa or an estate if you actually hate gardening.
Right. If your reality is that you love being downtown, your vocabulary set changes completely. You need words like apartment, convenient, close to.
It validates your actual desires. You're not just practicing random English words. You're practicing how to explain you.
And that makes it so much easier to remember. If you genuinely want a small apartment, you're going to remember those words much better than the words for a horse ranch you have no interest in.
So true. So Maria teaches us to define the dream by the lifestyle, how you live your life, your daily habits, your work.
It brings us back to that word lifestyle. It's a great concept to integrate into your description. I want a city apartment because I have an active lifestyle.
Or I want a house in the countryside because I prefer A quiet lifestyle.
Boom, now you're explaining the why again. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground conceptually, but I think we need to do a little workout, a tongue workout.
The pronunciation workshop.
The source material identifies one specific word that trips people up all the time, and honestly, when you look at how it's spelled, I don't blame them.
The word is comfortable.
C-O-M-F-O-R-T-A-B-L-E. It looks like it should be comfortable, 4 distinct syllables.
And if you say it that way, this chair is very comfortable. You sound well.
You sound like a robot.
Or like you're reading from a dictionary. Leo points out that native speakers are efficient. We like to compress syllables. We don't say comfortable. We say comfortable.
Too. It's almost like the or and the a just vanish.
They get completely swallowed. It goes from 4 syllables down to 3, maybe even 2.5 sometimes. Comfortable.
Short and smooth, as Leo says in the source.
It's a hack, really. It's not just about speaking faster. It's about the rhythm of the language. If you can master that compression, it's a comfortable house, you sound significantly more fluent than if you try to articulate every single letter.
It's the difference between driving on a rocky road and a freshly paved highway. Comfortable. Everyone listening, just try that right now. Whisper it. Comfortable. It feels good, doesn't it?
It's satisfying.
Okay, so we have our pronunciation, we have our grammar, our vocabulary, our structure. Let's bring it all home. Let's synthesize this into the confidence challenge that the source material sets up at the end.
This is the culmination of the whole lesson. Leo and Emma don't just want you to listen. They want you to actually produce the language.
So they issue a challenge. Describe your dream house in 5 sentences.
And 5 sentences is the perfect length. It's not a novel, but it's more than just a quick soundbite. And based on everything we've talked about, we can actually build a template for these 5 sentences right now.
Let's do it. Let's build the ultimate deep dive dream house template. Sentence 1.
Sentence 1 has to be location and type. My dream house is a size type by the location.
Okay. My dream house is a spacious villa by the sea. Done. Sentence 2.
Sentence 2. Surroundings. Use that golden phrase. It is surrounded by nature environment.
It is surrounded by tropical gardens. I like it. Sentence 3.
Sentence 3. Let's go inside. Rooms and grammar. It has number rooms. And remember that it has rule.
Yes. It has 4 bedrooms and a massive kitchen.
Sentence 4. The special feature. It also has a luxury item with a view.
It also has a large balcony with a sea view. This is sounding good.
And finally, sentence 5, the reason, the lifestyle. Connect it back to you. I want this because feeling reason.
I want this because I love entertaining friends and watching the sunset.
And there you go. In 5 sentences, you've just created a complete, sophisticated, and grammatically correct description of a dream house.
And it didn't take a degree in architecture or poetry. It just took a simple structure.
That's the power of synthesis. Location, surroundings, rooms, features, reason. If you just follow that path, you will never get lost.
And as Leo mentions, you can practice this out loud while you're in the shower or write it down in a notebook.
Writing it is great because you can double-check it has grammar. But saying it out loud builds that comfortable muscle memory.
And just remember that wisdom from the very end of the source material. Mistakes are normal.
They are. Emma makes mistakes in the episode specifically to show you that it's okay. She says, near the ocean instead of by. And it's fine. She learns, she moves on. The goal isn't to be a perfect robot.
No, the goal is natural improvement through listening and practicing. And honestly, dreaming is the perfect way to practice because there are no wrong answers about the content itself.
Exactly.
If your dream is a house made of chocolate surrounded by a river of milk, that's your dream. You just have to use the right prepositions to describe it.
My dream house is a chocolate cottage by a river of milk.
Grammatically perfect.
Exactly.
You know, it raises kind of an interesting, provocative thought, though, doesn't it?
What's that?
Well, we often think of language as a tool to describe what's already there. This is a pen. That is a cat. But when we describe a dream house, we're using language to manifest something that doesn't actually exist yet.
Oh, I like that.
So does the act of describing your dream space in English, does it make it feel more real? Does articulating it actually give it shape in the world?
That's a deep thought. If you can say it, you can see it. And if you can see it, maybe you're one step closer to actually finding it.
Or maybe just the act of feeling at home in the language makes any house you're in feel a little more like a dream home. I love that. So, to everyone listening, we want you to try the challenge, 5 sentences. Build your dream. And if you want to keep building your confidence and your vocabulary, please don't stop here. Click on the rest of the videos on this channel to turn more of your daily life into fluent English.
There's always more to learn.
Until next time, keep dreaming and keep talking.